here is Meonicorn. Today I'm having a different kind of background and I just want to have a casual and relaxing chatty video with you. I came across some video called the Gilmore Girls Reading Challenge video, and I will link the videos that I watched down below. Apparently, it is inspired by a show called the Gilmore Girls, and I haven't watched the show, but it is supposed to be very popular, and it is talking about a story about a bookworm girl, and in the show, the girl have read more than 300 books. Some of the fans of the show have put all the books into a list, and some of other people just took the list and created a reading challenge. And I'm not going to do the challenge as an official challenge for me. I'm just going to take the list and to see how many books that I have read on the list and how many books that I have owned but I haven't read yet in the list. And based on my calculation, I have read 15 books from the list, and I have owned more than 20 books on the list that I haven't read yet. And because I have watched some of the other videos about the reading challenge, I think 15 is a decent number for me, and I didn't feel left out by other challenge takers. The first book I have read on the list is 1984 by George Orwell. It is also a list on my A to Z reading project. I want to reread it in English once again, and I have read this book for a book club that I hosted years ago in China. And the second book I have read is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. And this is a book I have read when I was a child, and it makes sense because it's a children's book. And the third book I have read is Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and this is also a book I read when I was a child. And when we first start our English class, our English teacher assigned an English name to call us on the class, and I was assigned as Alice, and for that reason I read this book. And the first book I have read on the list is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I have read this book because of it's Dickens' book, and I have a period I just want to read a lot of classics, and you can see a pattern on the list is the most of the book I have read on the list are classics. And the next book I have read is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. This is my mom's favorite book, and she has only a copy, but I for some reason didn't read her copy. I bought my own copy, and I have read the book and loved it too. And next I have read The Great Expectation by Charles Dickens. This is for the period I just want to read some Dickens work, and this book is also a book on my A to Z project. I want to reread it in English once again. And next we have two Harry Potter books by J.K. Rowling. I believe everybody have read them. Following, I have read Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is also another of my mom's favorite, and she has recommended this to me when I was a child, and I have read it and loved it. And then I have read The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. This is a book that our English teacher in high school assigned us to read in order to improve our English. And following, I have read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is actually the first foreign classic that I have read. By foreign, I mean the original language is not Chinese. And I remember when I was at 4th grade or 5th grade, and my cousin, who is 6 years older than me, discovered that I started to read classics. So she recommended this foreign classic to me, and I read it. And then I have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I have read this book twice. The first time when I was a child and I read it in Chinese, and the second time is last year, and I joined a Goodreads reading club, and this is the first book that the club assigned us to read, and I have read it in English. And then I have read A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. This is for that period I just want to read some Dickens work. And then I have an interesting one, and I'm surprised to see that on the list, is Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And this book was so popular like 20 years ago in China, and it is marketed as the most popular book in America. So I think pretty much everybody have read this book at that time, and it's pretty tiny if I didn't remember wrong. And the last book I have read on the list is The Wizard of Oz by Frank L. Baum. This is another book that we read for our English class. So if I didn't count it wrong, I read 15 books from this list. And as I mentioned before, I have owned more than 20 books on the list as well, so I'm just going to briefly talk about the other books. The first book I own is actually on my A to Z reading project. It is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. So I'm going to read this book in near future. And then also another book on my A to Z project. It is The Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And then I have Charlotte Sweat by E.B. White. As I mentioned a couple times on my channel, E.B. White is my favorite writer and journalist. And I have read some of his essays, and after I came to the US, I discovered he's also written some children's book. And the next one I have is The Curious Incident of Dogs in Nighttime by Mark Haddon. This is an interesting book, and I'm really looking forward to because I have watched the play of this book, and it is a great play. I think if you have a chance, I recommend you to watch that play. And then I own Emma by Jane Austen. This is when I purchased for the reading club last year, but I haven't followed the reading club after Pride and Prejudice. So, and then I own a book on the list called The Fellowship of Ring by J.J.R. Tolkien. Just don't ask me why I didn't read it. Following, I have another book on my A to Z project, so I'm going to read it in the near future. This is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Yeah. And then I have In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. This is the letter C of my A to Z project. So I'm currently at letter B, so I'm going to read it really soon. And then I got Little Dorrit by Charles Dickens. For the period I want to read Charles Dickens' work, but I haven't got to this one yet. After that, I have Master and Margarita. I actually had this book in Chinese edition on my shelf here, and I wanted to read it so badly, so I brought this book from China to here like 4 years ago. Apparently not that so badly because I haven't read it yet. And after that, I have On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I have read half of this book in Chinese when I was at high school or when I was in college. I cannot remember. And then I have a copy of this book here. After that, I have 100 Years of Solitude by Garcia Marquez. I have this book in Chinese edition as well, and I really want to read it. Next is another Dickens work. It's called Our Mutual Friend. And then I have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I bought this book just before I started my booktube channel, and I really want to read it. After that is another J.J.R. Tolkien's work. It's The Return of the King. Next, I have A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. I actually just got this book last weekend on my trip to Half Price Books, and I'm really happy about it because I got a brand new Everyman's Library edition of it. And then I got The Second Sex. I have this book in Chinese and I really want to read it because it is a very important work, I believe. And after that, I got Sense of Sensibility by Jane Austen. And another children's book by E.B. White is The Stuart Little. And following, I have two books on my A to Z project. It is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee and A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. And I believe after the A to Z project, I can finish some of the books on this list too. And following, I have the most embarrassed book that I have on the list I haven't read yet. It is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I have absolutely no progress after I update my War and Peace reading progress on my June wrap-up. And I have a trip in the following weeks, so I don't think I can read One Piece on the trip. So that I don't think I can finish the One Piece during the One Piece read-along, but I will try to finish it during summer. And the last one I have on the list I own but I haven't read yet is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Actually, I tried to read this book in the first readathon I joined after I joined BookTube. It is the Battle of Books 19 readathon, and I have read half of the Wuthering Heights during that readathon. And after that, I didn't pick up the book for some reason that I just don't understand. But I think I'll just try to find the time to finish the book. And that's all for my Gilmore Girls reading challenge. And I'll link the list down below. If you have watched the show or if you have any books that you like that I mentioned on this video, please let me know on the comments. If you want more bookish content from me, please subscribe to me so that I can see you next time. Happy reading! Bye!